Jets Fantasy Fuel Podcast, episode 19 here. We're wrapping up the preseason. Initial thoughts on the preseason there, Shelley?
Defense could be a concern. How's that for the understatement of the century from the poet?
I like it, man. I did like the amount of looks we got, though. A lot of teams were playing almost their final roster, and we were jumping back and forth, giving the rookies some looks there. I for sure thought, Luota was going to make the team. I thought CJ Seiss was going to make the team too.
That's Seiss. I think they pronounce it Cease on the broadcasts, but it looks like it really does. It looks like Dr. Seuss to me, because that's exactly how it is spelled. So I'm going with Doc, CJ Cease.
I like it.
I would rather see him up there than Letestu, because Letestu can't take a pass at full speed consistently. Cease is very good at either knocking it down and getting control of it or chipping it and then taking the hit, and he's a thunderous forechecker, just like Boric, oddly enough. I like them together.
He was good on the draws there too. I just liked everything I was seeing from him.
Yeah.
I almost noticed him more than Gustafsson, but Gustafsson was more coach trustworthy. Like he'll do everything right and he won't make a mistake, but you don't really notice.
Like Harrison, when there was a panic and Coach Maurice brought in a seasoned war veteran named Harrison, who sort of stemmed the tide. It was enough to get them into the playoffs. Nobody expected them to win in the playoffs, but the young guys got to learn. Note to fans, it's going to be a tough year, but if they do make a run, maybe you might see some of the veterans much later when their bodies can take it.
Yeah, but I don't know, I would still rather get all these young guys a look, because at the end of the day, this is the time to do it. It's not
they're coachable. Yeah. All the young guys are coachable, and they appear to be buying in. Not so much with some of the veteran forwards who shall go nameless, Wheeler, but I can't really complain about Blake's leadership out there. He's been leading by example and busting his rear end on the back check, just like Lowry and Bork.
We'll see what happens. In January, though, when the age factor comes in there.
And the toughness factor. The toughness factor.
But no, overall, it was a good preseason. Like, it was up and down. Obviously, you can't expect too much with the chemistry. They hardly play together. Can't read into it too much, but I like the amount of looks our rookies got there, and ending the preseason with Morrissey breaking a stick, waiting to grab one, goes down on a 2-1 and scores. It's a good way to start the season off there. And we're 6 games deep here. Obviously, a couple injuries too. Little injured, no surprise there. Buff, still no word on him, but maybe a good thing to get some of these rookies a look. But these are the times where it's like, why would we play Letestu when we could give Gustafsson more of a look? Like, this is the time where it's like, you know what, even at the end of the day,
good point,
like shovel day off the media, like that's their excuse. Hey, we have a few injuries, so we're trying out some young players. This is a perfect time to take advantage of that. So I do like most of the lineup there. I know you keep bringing Bork's name up, so we're gonna we're gonna
have the Bork debate,
because I watched him closely last year, and it just seems like he is the same. He's automatic. He's all muscle memory. He doesn't really think out there. So yeah, he plays hard. He does things right. But if certain people have the coaching, do videos on him and stuff, there's certain times where if you forecheck him right, he'll give the puck right in the middle. He'll give the puck away. He is as good as he'll get. This is the best Bork will be, and it's all downhill from here. He doesn't really have an upside. So the fact that he, in your eyes, looks good means that the rest of the team isn't playing as well. They're not playing hard. They're not finishing checks. They're not doing the things as a basic hockey player you should. And all Bork is doing is that. There's no skill required of what he does. It's just a muscle memory thing. So the fact that you think he looks good out there maybe means that the rest of the team should be stepping it up a bit.
Well, you may have also made a critique on my style of playing with the puck. I am a defenseman after all, but when I do get the puck, I try to be creative with it before I pass it in a non-predictable way. Quite often in an Ehlers style where people are actually surprised that the puck's on their stick. However, the Jets right now, Boteto being out there with Pionk, that's a big mistake. Pionk is actually surprisingly athletic and intelligent. Every now and then he jumps into the play too early, which is, I think, what happened to Dahlstrom on maybe a couple of occasions.
You need more of a defensive sound player with him, right?
Yeah, but I've been really impressed with the battle that Kulikov brings. I have a lot of hesitancy about Russian players for a whole bunch of reasons, but there are character ones, and it seems that Cheveldayoff's found one with Kulikov, because the guys seem to love him, and the guy's got a heart like Ulanov, but he's a way better player than Ulanov ever was.
You didn't see that that jump pass they did. He didn't take the man or the puck, and the guy went right around him, scored that breakaway goal. There's little stuff like that.
The goalie should have had that. You're talking about the ricochet once in a million play that only Sid Crosby's done and maybe Ovechkin. Come on, that's on the goalie. That's not on Kulikov.
Yeah, still not worth the money for me, I guess. But let's keep this positive here. First game. I guess not a positive there.
Well, we've given up 200 shots in 5 games or close to it if the numbers are accurate. And you're not going to win a lot of tough battles unless you keep the shots under 30. No. And we're not doing it. And that means we need to see a 25% improvement in that. With the D we have, I just don't see it likely.
Yeah, well, it's kind of funny that we did play the Rangers on our first game there. Trouba just comes out huge.
The hockey gods gave Trouba the goal.
Yeah, well...
That was a terrible shot. It was a knuckle driver that corkscrewed into the top corner.
But the play they did for the power play to get Trouba in that spot, it was just a good place.
Well, it was a good read play. It was a good read play by Trouba. Yeah. He's a college hockey. I don't like the way the NHL seems to be playing what looks to me like college hockey in the neutral zone, because now it's going to be like basketball, pick and roll, and all kinds of clutching and grabbing, and refs deciding the outcomes. And that's never been good for Winnipeg, right, Gary Bettman? So we want to make sure that we get the calls, and the way to do that is to change the game. Well, we've got the speed, but we don't have the D. We miss Sherratt. Everybody knows it.
Yeah, you can tell out there. It's crazy that they're doing as good as they are without any of those defense. It'd be crazy that if they had everyone from last year, how good they'd be doing. But that game, even Lemieux getting traded there from the Jets, there's a few players that probably were trying a little harder, and the fact that they almost came back was sweet. But overall, losing to Trouba in the first game is kind of a...
The hard part about that is you say, well, Lemieux, he punched with the glove on. He punched Appleton in the mouth for being outraged that he would take an extra hack at his goalie. But the look in Lemieux's face frightened me. It looked like his father. Like there's somebody at the wheel, but you're not sure if the ignition's in the correct spot. Just a little bit dangerous. And I thought, that's the kind of thing that wins in the playoffs, and now we're going to have to play against it instead of having it on our team.
I didn't know where you were going with that. I was like, man, that's what I look for in a player. You'd rather have him on your team than
protect your goalie. Protect the goalie. That's it. Protect your goalie at all costs, and that's how you win. And I don't think we're going to do it unless we get Logan Stanley tough up and Nogier in there more often than the pretty boys like the Sami Nikus and or Heinola, who appears to be a gifted player like Niedermayer.
Do you think if with all the injuries, Heinola would have made the starting lineup? Do you think at this point he's going to get the 9? Obviously he's going to get the 9-game look at, but
at this point you're looking at whether you go with Potato or with Heinola, and I've never seen Maurice squirming so much because he does not want to punish a player who's earned the privilege to play with these men, because he's actually a really smart player.
Message,
yes, right? Especially to the young guys like Roslovic who want to believe the team's getting better.
Yeah.
Well, by the way, Kopp put a puck in an empty net, so it turns out that Copper puck and can actually hit an empty net. Shelley has to take that one back.
That's not what he's known for, though. He's known for the two-way, the face-offs, his even penalty killing, I'd say. But we'll see what happens with that. I'd love to see Heinola for the whole year. Even if he does, get sent down at the 9-game mark there, we've got a good look at him. Now he can just gain maybe 10 or 15 pounds to be even more ready next year. He's just getting pushed around a bit, but his IQ is probably one of, if not the best on the back end.
That might be why Sami Niku's not up with the squad. Maybe he was asked to sort of beef up a little bit, and he hasn't maybe done what he has to do. Or
well, they said a groin injury, and we're thinking maybe a little more going on to that, because they did send him down on the 11th.
I always get concerned. Hello, Dave Hunter, Edmonton Oilers, when I hear the term car accident and groin injury in the same sentence. That's a really bad inside joke, and only you veterans out there will know what I'm talking about. But if what I'm thinking might be the case, he isn't buying into the team spirit correctly. He's too much of a freewheeler, independent thinker, kind of like Laine was last year, and they can't have too many of those young guys around the team because they actually have to play tough D.
Team spirit and Laine, him calling out basically Ehlers and Little. He's like, he said that in the interview across seas that the reason he doesn't want to come back, he doesn't want to play with them, he should be on the top line or a different line.
I wasn't sitting in the room with that interview, and I didn't get the benefit of the Finnish to English translation.
Maybe that's just maybe there's something going on there.
Maybe the reporter is like me and he actually told the truth and people didn't like it, but you can't really pin much on Ehlers. But there was a lot of scrutiny on Brian Little, even though he played the best two-way season of his career.
Yeah.
But the point is Laine and Ehlers are highly gifted players, and they shouldn't be punished. Same with Roslovic and Connor, by being forced to play with players who don't understand exactly where to dump the puck. Hello, Captain Wheeler, so that we can gain the advantage, even though they've worked so hard to get the puck at a certain spot. They're thinking way ahead of the game, and Ehlers and Laine should be up there with Scheifele. End of story.
No, he should be a player like that. With that
Put Connor with Wheeler. And maybe Roslovic or Connor, like those guys understand each other. They play a great game. It's not fair to the young superstars that they're being punished because their leadership are not able to play at that pace. Scheifele can, Wheeler can't. Sorry. It's going to be proven true once again when the real meat grinder games start after Christmas.
So you're saying Scheifele, Connor, Laine, line one.
No, I'm saying Scheifele, Ehlers, and Laine. Line 1A.
I know Laine doesn't want to play with Ehlers or Little, though. That's the thing, right? Like,
no, Little can be line 3 center. Line 2 would be Roslovic with Wheeler and Connor. That would work.
Really? I'd prefer Little in a line 4 or not at all kind of slot. We've picked up so many players to replace. We don't have a line 2 center. Like, that's something they got to work on for hopefully if they're on the break of getting into a playoff spot. That's something we can maybe do at trade deadline. But hopefully no picks or anything. Just a couple, I would say, player for players to get actually a Perreault for a decent center or something like that, where it's not going to hurt too much. But down the middle, we need somebody a little more elite than Kopp and Lowry that can score too. Kopp and Lowry.
Well, that's Roslovic, and that's
no, but he's
Scheifele.
Not. Yeah, he's not defensively sound yet though. Like, he's an amazing player. He's probably the best passer, but you can't trust him on the two-way game. His defense is
that's true.
Kind of diminishing.
By the way, Appleton's been proving that he can play the two-way game. He's been getting hit left, right, and center because his teammates aren't calling out blindside hits for him while they're sitting on the bench. Goaltenders, same thing.
Yeah,
but he's getting better every game, which is a good thing.
Yeah, I had him on my second episode. Yeah, we were talking about him being on the third line to start the year. I have no surprise there.
It's the injury to Bolio. Sorry for interrupting you. But it's the injury to Bolio that has guaranteed that Heinola would stay because, like the coach said, who do I take? Who do I put in ahead of him? Because if the guy's earned the privilege and the right to be there by his style of play, then he deserves to be in there, and that's Gustafsson. You know, he makes a few mistakes, but his instincts to go to where the going's going to get tough in front of the net is very good, and he's not afraid of hitting guys. And you need guys that will hit guys that are taking passes in the neutral zone. Otherwise, they're going to kill you.
Yeah, I'd like to see him there the whole year. I think he's a keeper. I'd rather play him than Letestu too.
I'd sure like to see Nogier up there too. I'd rather see him playing in these games than saving him for maybe down a stretch run when the goings, the ramifications for making a critical mistake are going to be higher. Right now, he would have a little more support from the defensive game of the wingers right now because everybody's buying into D at 40 shots a game against.
To clear this up, I guess, for the listeners, it's more of a waiting game. We're going to figure out if Heinola is staying after the 10-game point.
Yeah. It's
going to be more clear after that 10-game point. So 4 more games of trying out, and then you'll start to see the defense solidify a bit. Niku, we're going to see if he comes back. It'll depend on Heinola there, too. You like Nogier, too. Like, depends what happens with that, but give it 10 games to see what's up. What do you think of the Heritage jerseys?
They actually didn't look as bad as I thought they were going to. How's that for an optimistic Winnipegger? Come on.
Yeah.
The Bombers won a critical game yesterday in the snow against the Alouettes, and who wouldn't quit. Kudos to them for never giving up. But we need some positive vibes here with the Jets, and the Jets are supplying this. Even though the veteran hockey lovers are seeing where the cracks are, it's not wasted on the ownership and the management as well. Cheveldayoff has impressed the heck out of me with his ability to see 2-3 years down the road better than I can. Maybe he listens to the youngsters better than I can, but Ehlers, Scheifele, and Laine together sure makes a lot of sense to me. Connor, Wheeler with Roslovic, that makes a lot of sense to me too.
I know, it's not a Chevy thing. This is a Maurice thing I think you're talking about.
Maybe.
We got to pinpoint here. Cheveldayoff's the man. Like, if you have any problems with the lineup, we gotta use Maurice's name a little more, I think, there. But that's, obviously Chevel. Yeah,
I'm sure they communicate about these things together. They're a team.
They do.
They're a team.
Obviously, if there's somebody you're trying to trade bait, you want them on your first line, rack up the points a bit there. But We'll see what happens.
So we're going to put Little on the first line when he comes back? I don't think so.
No, I don't.
By the way, Perreault's been playing much better hockey the last 3-4 games, showing a lot of
he's showing some grit
leadership and some grit, not taking dumb penalties. It's been very impressive.
He's a new man without that hair. Looks like a whole new player out there.
I didn't recognize him the first couple of times.
It's not slowing him down anymore. All right, we're going to be back for segment 2 here. Cheers. Welcome back, segment 2. We're talking about the rest of the games here. What do you think about the 5-4 win against the Devils? Came back from a 4-goal deficit.
I told people it was going to happen, and they laughed at me. And the reason I told them it was going to happen was because I could see the way the players were behaving on the bench and at the end of the shifts, and I was rather impressed with the leadership of our captain. Yes, Shelley's saying it. Wheeler has surprised me beyond belief the last 4 or 5 games. Now, we'll see what happens when the going gets tough, because I've seen this before, after Christmas, when there's more adversity, but he seems to me to be all business, and as long as he's like that, it seems the younger players play better.
Well, how about that shootout winner by Wheeler? That was smooth hands for a big boy there. Like, I didn't even think he was going backhand too. Like, fake, right? Like, backhand there. Like, he fooled me too. Right?
That's why I'm stunned by it. I'm from the old school, and I don't even care for the shootouts, and I really don't care for when somebody, Patrick Kane in Chicago, dekes a goalie out so badly that the goalie ends up in the corner looking for his jockstrap, and he stands there for half a second and hesitates, and then casually pulls the we'll call it the Reggie Jackson into the net. That's for baseball lovers who like the Yankees.
If you do something like that, Kane always has the celly, right? Wheeler did that.
If
didn't
the guy
even celebrate. He just looked.
He did all business.
Knew what he was doing the whole time.
He was all business.
I liked it.
But if I was on the other team and a guy did that and skated by our bench, my temptation would be to start the first post-game brawl in a shootout, because the guy showed up your goalie in front of everybody. You don't ever let anybody ever do that. So when he did that, I was a little perturbed with his cockiness, but I thought, hey, he was the best player on the ice that night, and he started the comeback. So
that's the way to lead a team.
That's the way to lead.
I think there's no pressure. 4 goals down, fuck it, nothing to lose, right? So having that in the back of your mind. But
boy, Taylor Hall doesn't know what hit him. It was fun to watch.
I don't think and that's the Devils too, right? Like they can score a bunch in a row, but they just don't have that full game yet to actually be able to keep the lead. And
well, Pionk surprised a lot of people in that game. He seems to like that style of game because he played for New York last year, but it won't cut it in the Central Division when you're playing real hockey teams. Well, by the way, speaking of old school coaches, apparently Jamie Benn's being used on the 4th line just to wake him up a bit, or on the 3rd line. They don't want him to have a slow start this year like he did last year.
Yeah, he's Dallas is a whole other.
But Dallas is all business, so beware. It's going to be a tough Central Division.
Rube Hintz is looking good. That's about it, though.
Yeah.
Dallas there. But good win there. Poolman had a pretty bad giveaway to Gusev there. Gusev was a huge pickup for the Devils there. I was hoping Winnipeg would go after him, but he hasn't had any NHL games. He led the AHL last year, and just that I would have taken a chance on him. But he looked pretty solid out there for the Devils there. But overall, pretty good game. What do we think of the Islanders' loss there?
Well, I felt badly for the boys because the ice was horrific.
It was.
And
do you think maybe that's why Morrissey got injured in that game? Maybe
I absolutely am concerned about the quality of the rink, whether a puck came off funny or he tripped on something. Mm-hmm. It's not a nice rink for hockey, and the puck was bouncing quite a bit, and guys were going down all over the place. So, you got to wonder how much Gary Bettman cares about the players. Oh, yeah, I forgot the Islanders were his favorite team growing up.
They're getting a new arena, though, Islanders.
Apparently.
That's why.
Yeah, and the Raiders are moving to Vegas, apparently. So anything's possible in the new world.
That's what they were trying to get Tavares to stay there. Like, we're getting a new rink. And Tavares is like, all right, I'll believe it when I see it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But how about Carl Dahlstrom getting basically a 2-3 minute heads up? Oh, you're playing tonight. He came in. I think we have hugely opposite opinions of what we saw him.
Yeah.
Some horrible giveaways. He looked really slow out there. He looked kind of out of place. Like, didn't really know the system. And he played 38 games for Chicago last year, 6 points. So I was expecting a little more there. And every time the Islanders scored, he was on the ice. It came from him.
Well, that was his first game, though.
But
that, to me, he gets a free pass on that one.
Yeah, but
he's played better ever since, and he's consistent.
Yeah, but you talk about people like Nozier and like people like that you know can just come in and do the job and get it done right. So maybe if they called in somebody properly, it would have been maybe an overtime or a different kind of story. But he was the direct cause of that loss. And I know it's hard coming in mentally. If you they have it all physically, but mentally, when someone's like, hey, 2 minutes you have ready to get ready, it does affect the game where you're not mentally prepared for that. You could definitely see that on the ice where he is getting a little better the last couple, but still, I would say he's a dumb man. Get rid of him.
Wow, you're a harsh critic.
I just call it like I see him, and well, even Brossoit starting like 2 out of the first 3 games there. It's like, is it more of a you play and you win and you stay? I'm pretty sure that's the way they should do it this year. Like,
well, it's an undeclared rule, but it seems to be operating, and both goalies know it. They have the corporate presentation, which is, it's going to be goaltender by cooperative, but really the truth is they are competing with each other, and that's what you want with goalies. They're a totally different breed.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that Thunder Huckleberry has shown that he wants to be in there, and if he wants to play 60 games, if he's driven that hard, that's how you win. Because if the other goalie's driven that hard and he goes down, you got somebody there.
Well, Varley is, I would say, a better goalie than what we have too, and having Trott's system behind Varley is going to show Varley's numbers in the way they should be. So it is a hard defense to play against. Obviously, Laine with the only snipe there. That's why Laine.
It was incredible the number of times pucks were tipped by sticks in places where you're not expecting the defender to be needing to be reaching to that spot, but because Trotz has coached them so well, he knows what 3-dimensional lanes the pucks are coming in at, and they're blocking these things. That's what Myers was so good for last year, and Sherratt as well. Yeah, if you tip a lot of these pucks away, they're not going to the guy, and next thing you know, the other team's breaking out, and you're all standing flat-footed. It's that fast now.
Sticks are always on the ice with the Trotz team there. And they're pretty garbage, and Barzal is basically the only player they have that can do it.
And Lee. Lee's a nice player.
Yeah, but he's more of a plug him in front of the net, kind of, really good net presence, kind of like a Pavelski. He can get his stick on everything. It's hard to move him. That's his area, I would say he's best in. But Barzal he's walking around Pionk. I don't know if you saw that. That game just danced around Pionk. He
looked like Connor McChicken there, or McDavid, sorry, Edmonton people.
Yeah.
He looked like that kind of acceleration. He made Pionk look bad.
And we know Pionk, it's not his best part of the game is the defense. I think this is something he can improve. His gap is really out of place.
He is a good skater, so if you can coach him, you got something there. I like what Maurice has done so far with who would have believed the defense even giving up 40 shots, as long as you're taking away shots that the goalie can get the right look at. That's the difference. And when you're blocking out correctly, which Trouba did so well when he was here, I'm seeing Pullman do a better job of it, but it's a physical game. Or controlling the stick the way Heinola has been doing it, that rubs off on other players. They learn it from each other because it's being coached to them.
Yeah, I'm hoping he stays there. His vision, everyone knew it, and now Chevalier, he looks like a champ, man. He went 20th overall, and he's one of the only players from that draft that's actually playing right now. He's looking pretty smart here for sure. They always know who to pick. Like Chevalier has always been. I've always praised him for sure. And on our last segment, we'll get into the contracts that were just signed there too with Connor and Laine. But
the absence of Bufflin, which coincidentally has occurred while that has happened. Come on.
The suspension gives us another 7.6 to pay towards our cap.
The lawyers on the True North End group speak sleazy team, or at least doing their homework on the fine print. Lawyers love fine print. Just look at your new car ad with no fine print and then 8 rows of fine print.
4-1 against Pittsburgh. That was an 18-game skid they stopped against Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh had poor goaltending in that game. Otherwise, it was close enough that Pittsburgh could have won it. But without Malkin, that set them back. You could tell.
Yeah. Heinola gets his first goal too, which is pretty huge. Start the year off right there. Yeah, it's nice to see that. But I just expected a little more out of Pittsburgh. The last few games I've seen them too, they're just missing something there. And I'm not saying it's Kessel. I thought they'd be better without him because Malkin can actually do what he wants. But Malkin's injured again. Like, what's going on with him? Like, he seems to miss about 30, 40 games a year too.
He gets that Bufflin flu. The bigger guys are brittle-boned, and as they get older, it takes a little longer to heal. This I know for a fact. Yeah. And it's got to be more important at the pro level. So if they're taking care of asset management because they have a serious idea about a run, fine. But it all starts with goaltending and protecting the goalie, and you can't do that if your D aren't bigger, tougher, and meaner than the guys coming in on your goalies. End of story.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment there. Minnesota game, pretty tough game there. Minnesota is all tough and no skill. Laine got 4 points, kind of made a... it's good for him to get the confidence there. But, I wasn't expecting Minnesota to do anything. I have them last in Central. I'm not surprised the Jets won that game.
Nor am I.
But
it was a game they had to win, but Minnesota is not as bad as they played that night. Zuccarello, I feel sorry for because he
doesn't belong there. Man.
It's not his style of game.
No.
And possibly that's what got what's-his-name fired. Fenton, the hockey guru of all time. And now they've got in... another hockey guru of all time, Billy, what's his name?
To undo everything that he did. They have no clue what direction they want.
Well, they're Americans. They don't get it.
They signed or traded for all their young guys and then ended up signing Zuccarello. Which direction are you going? Are you signing young guys? Or are you signing Zuccarello to a 5-year deal where he probably has 3 years left in him?
Well, they're hamstrung by the long-term contract, the Parise, who can't play a whole season without getting hurt, and Suter, who's also getting like that because the league gets tougher, the contracts get shorter, the money goes up, but not for as long. The fact that Kyle Connor was able to do what he did with his agent just goes to show you how serious he is about playing hockey and how serious True North is about keeping a future Hall of Famer within the family. Because Kyle Connor, make no mistake, he's a Hall of Fame hockey player. When he gets the heart and desire and toughness part going, he's a dangerous player.
And Laine leading the league with 10 points after that game too. That's got to be a little... relief for all the fans there.
What's more of a relief is that he's not minus whatever for turnovers at the high blue lines at each end or in the neutral zone. He's doing a much better job.
He has.
Yeah.
He's doing way better on the defense end. That was my only concern coming into this year, but he's doing a lot better at it. It was only up from there too.
Well, he looks like he's having more fun too. The pressure's off.
It does, and he's not playing beside Little, so it's going to be a little...
There's the little shot again.
I forget the stat. Out of his 100 whatever goals, they were saying that Little only assisted on 7 of them or something. Where it's
Lettese too is a problem because he's good on the draw, and I guess when you're doing the second unit penalty kill, you want to have somebody who can win a draw, right? And that's the only reason he must be there.
Well, he played AHL all last year for a reason. He's not.
I don't think he's there if Little's playing. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, but I don't know. Get rid of them both.
Oh, that's harsh, man.
Cut.
I'll give Little some leeway after what he put in last year. See how he comes back. It's better that they come back healthy, like Myers has proven in Vancouver. He's a healthy horse now, and he's happy and earning his salary. He's playing about the same way, which is hard to coach sometimes. But he's a genuine athlete, and we have a few of those with the Jets.
Some people
lock him up.
Take longer to marinate. And Little, if he did that 5 years ago, I would have been happy. But the shit he's doing now, he should have been doing 5 years ago. But now he's too old. He's too late. It's 31.
I don't disagree with you. Hockey is a harsh game.
Long time gone. I think we're going to a new.
He got banged up a lot, man. I watched games where he took open ice dirty hits. What's his name from Tampa Bay via Chicago? I'm surprised the team hasn't gooned him yet. I'm hoping Bufflin will be back for one of those games because he'll remember it. Because he almost killed Little, and it was a dirty hit, and the guy should have been suspended for 20 games. And Little's he's showing that he's a tough athlete. But yeah, you got to be able to perform. But it all starts after the All-Star game, doesn't it? After Christmas, after the turkey dinners.
I'd say it starts on October 3rd.
Well, it does for Colorado, that's for sure.
Well, most teams there. At Chicago, pretty big win there. They were down a couple goals, came back. They're giving up a lot of shots there too. Chicago looked a lot quicker as well. I think they came out a little faster too, but I'm surprised they came back. But it's nice that they did. Obviously, Chicago still getting points isn't good because they're in the same division, but nice to pull off that win. It
was a great road game for the Jets considering their situation. Leadership group once again showed a lot of character, especially my guy Nikolai, the fly guy, Squealers, who has the heart of a little tiger, but needs to rein it in sometimes and just do what he did. Take the pass, drive it into the net, keep it simple. Yeah.
He tries doing too much. He's still trying to find his identity, right? And I think once he finds a halfway of what he can do and what he can do on a consistent level, he's great. I've always liked him, but playoffs is another story. We're going to see.
Once you play him with guys who are capable of understanding what he's doing at a high speed and executing, hello, Scheifele and Laine, then it works out even better. I remember the first 15 games. I haven't forgotten. They tore it up. It was dismantled because Mr. Buttman or somebody didn't like the fact that the Jets were taking off too quickly. We want to maximize the money gouge that's going on and make it last for 10 years instead of 5. Team should have won the Cup 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's not looking as promising right now.
No, I know.
And not because of them. It's just the division's so good. It's going to be hard to get out of there. But
it takes a long time to build a farm system capable of making a cup run like St. Louis has done, like LA did a number of years ago. But Chicago didn't look like a Stanley Cup contender because they've got 2 guys locked into these huge contracts. So Cheveldayoff learned something in Chicago. It won't be like it is in Chicago, but we don't want it to be like Nashville. We're still near where we need to be, but we're about 1 Bufflin and 1 Logan Stanley and 1 Ogier away from being there.
Mine is the Niku. He's if I could have anyone on the team that's not playing right now, it would be obviously him.
Right.
Just with the defense injury, and it's a perfect time to play him. Let's see what he can do out there. There's no reason to send him down.
I'm still having trouble with the fact that you're so hard on Gustafsson with the conditions he was brought here under and his performance versus Boteto.
No, Dahlstrom. I like Gustafsson. You're talking. I was harsh on Carl Dahlstrom.
Okay. I was talking about our defenseman.
No, yeah, Gustafsson is he's the center.
Oh, okay.
He's awesome.
That wasn't reverse Swedish racism, Tomas. I thought we were talking about a different player.
No, he's young. He's good. He's reliable. He should take Letestu's spot in no time. I'm hoping.
Well, I was thinking about Boteto, Mr. Potato, Pat Boutet on defense.
I'm going to stop you there. Not even worth talking about.
Oh, it's awful to watch.
Yeah,
and I'm screaming, way to go, Babbage, like the early 80s with Dave Babbage. I mean, it was that bad, some of the stuff he was doing. But, he does hit. And when the going gets tough, when there's a issue in the playoffs, should they get there, he's a veteran. And you know how Maurice feels about veterans.
No, Bull, will take his spot when he comes back.
Yeah, that's true.
Potato is on 1 year, and you will not see him next year. And this is why. He's a 9th or 10th string, and they're just so injured that he's actually getting iced out.
Fair enough.
There's no way he should be playing. But
they're 4-2, whatever.
4-2. Hellebuck's 3-1. So good signs there. That's what my concern was was the defense and the goaltending. But
well, you can't be giving up 40 shots a game and expecting to win.
No.
Period. Maybe 30. On a good day, you can give up 32 or 35 and have a hot goalie, which they didn't for the first couple of games. But, I mean, the way Hellebuck, Thunderhawk, Huckleberry, depending on the day, has played, has shown that he's learning from Bro Swat, how to stay in there for the 1-2 buckle my shoe saves without overplaying it and panicking.
Yeah. It's
They're
funny
a good team.
How your backup goalie can teach your main goalie. They learn off each other, right? They're same goaltending coach. They're always practicing together. They're learning different styles.
Now that Laine's there and Ehlers is there, you'd think the goaltending would get way better. And Connor, why do you think Fuhr was so good? He got to practice against Gretzky and Curry and Messier. Come on.
Well, and they're letting him see the shots, not on purpose. They're just not strong enough to get in those spots. So Hellebuck's getting to see more of the shots. He doesn't have as many big bodies in front of him, so he's actually seeing a little more of the ice, and it's good to see there. It's just a little the power play and penalty kill could, more so the penalty kill, if they kind of set him up for those shots where he knows it's coming from a certain place, they're going to get better. So only up from here. But we'll be back for segment 3. Welcome back, segment 3. Jump it right into the Connor contract there. It's a mint contract. I couldn't believe that they got him for that price. I thought he would have went a 7.5, but everyone, the way they were signing, 7's perfect for him. Maybe he took like a hometown discount, but average annual of 7 for 7 more years is huge. He is probably my favorite player, young and upcoming. He's diverse. He's someone that you can build a system around, and he can adapt pretty well. There's no complaints on that, and down the road too, you don't have to worry about that. Everything's coming up all at once. In 7 years, we don't really have anyone else to re-sign to, so we'll be able to hopefully sign him again and maybe have him his whole career here, which would be amazing.
Well, I love the contract, and I love the fact that Cheveldayoff, who looked pretty darn tired after he announced what was going on with Bufflin, he was under a lot of pressure. He was able to get something, I think, done that the community recognizes the value in, because it's a commitment to the fans who have been supporting the team. The same thing with Laine, and the leadership of the well-rewarded veterans is also being used as a model for these players. I just love the fact that we kept a Hall of Famer, because Kyle Connor, make no mistake, Mitch Duncan, God rest his soul, it was his favorite player coming up. He told us he was a special player, and he was right. He's got that extra little bit, and if that's the way that we're going to do it here, it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, and I just don't know why it took so long. It would have been nice to have him in the mindset that he's playing there all year. He wanted to play there all year. He was saying that in interviews. He's like, I'm not sure what's taking so long, and that's the exact number everyone thought we were going to sign him for. And
we don't get to see the contracts. I don't know. I hope to God it hasn't happened. But if they're starting to write terms in about discretionary ice time distribution and legal ramifications for not fulfilling clauses such as that, then in fact what happens is now the ownership and the management, are truly more responsible for what's going on the ice than what the coach can do. It's not right.
It comes as a business too. You look at Werenski signing for $5 million a year, and the next day, McAvoy, Boston didn't budge. They gave him 4.9. They couldn't just give him the same as Werenski. They have total control of their organization to the point where players will sign for this. It's quite the opposite in Toronto. When you give them anything they want, Matthews 11, Tavares 11. Marner 10 point almost 9.
Nylander 7.
Yeah, like that's a bit like he is a good player, but I would say 6. But like you're looking at and then on the opposite end, Boston, even like Winnipeg not handing out these huge contracts is nice. Tampa Bay, Point signing for 6.5. He is worth at least 8 or 9. So like the fact that
we'll see. I'm not sure he's going to get through a full season without getting dinged up when teams adjust to his style of play. Kind of like what started to happen to...
He's the best middleman I've seen on the power play. And him playing with Kucherov all year, it doesn't matter if he's doing good. He's just going to ride the Kuch train. And he had, 92 points last year? He'll break 100
I was thinking of Marty St. Louis as a comparative.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Point maybe a little faster. He's right-handed too, which is a little more valuable on that power play since Kuch and everyone's left there. But a huge contract. So I think maybe why it's taking so much longer for these teams that... aren't just handing out these contracts is because we're trying to get the right number here. That's why I don't know why Toronto's took so long. If you're gonna pay him that much anyways, why wouldn't you just do it at the start of this summer?
Well, this is the same Toronto that brought in Jason Spezza so he could finish off his career there. He has a valuable gift shot, which would be good on the second power play unit if it's struggling. Well, they're pretty good on a face-off. And what does Coach Babcock do? He pulls a Scotty Bowman and doesn't dress him for the opening night game. It's stuff like that.
They don't get along at all. That
makes you wonder about the whole family attitude, family environment. And it's really important that the players feel like they are part of something, that even at the value that they get for these contracts, they're in an elite group where the competition is among elite group players. So
he could have been at least a third or if not fourth line player.
Well, that's why I want to watch Nazem Kadri. He'll have less pressure on him where he is now, and I think he's going to light it up.
Yeah, Kadri had a really good game last night there. He was hitting. He has all the grit Colorado's missing. He's that other person that you can play on.
What a smart move by Joey and the boys. That was such a smart move.
Yeah, getting rid of Barry. He's probably one of the worst defensive D I've seen in the league. His points don't really make up for what he does in the back end.
It's funny how a manager can be made to look like a genius with Tyson Barrie when he brings in what's his name? I want to say Markov, the defenseman they brought up from the Alberta Junior League. Makar. When they brought Makar up, it made Joe look like a genius, because now you can get rid of Tyson Barrie. Yeah. Not everybody can bring in a Makar. I mean, there's another Hall of Fame player.
Why do you think Toronto was attracted to that? With having Riley back there, he's good enough to run your power play. He's the guy that has the puck. Why would you pick up Barrie when it's going to take power play away from him? You need a shutdown D. You don't need another Riley.
Power play 1 and power play 2.
Yeah, but your power play 2, you're deep enough that you don't. It doesn't really matter who's running that second power play. It's the amount of time they get to. You have a power play that has Matthews, Tavares, Marner, Riley. Doesn't matter if they play Kapanen or Johansson. But when you have a power play like that, they're going to play a minute and a half. By the time the second power play comes on, it's about 30 seconds, maybe 45 seconds. So you're going to pick up a defense and trade Kadri for that, and Barry's contract ends next year, they can't afford to re-sign him. Like, it just seems like a huge investment to replace. Why wouldn't they just re-sign Gardner if they were going to get Barry? Like, Gardner would have signed for cheaper.
Well, because Gardner was not appreciated by the fan base for his knucklehead, bonehead giveaways, which he
but
made
Barry's
quite regularly.
worse. This is the thing that people don't see yet. Mark my words now. We come into the playoffs next year.
A provocation from Bel Air. That's good.
Absolutely. Playoffs next year, everyone's going to be like, oh, well, we got rid of Gardner to pick up Barry. He's even worse in the back end. Like, it's not ideal. So
we don't concur on this one, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry.
Hey, all my Toronto fans are pretty upset about it.
It's all this Southern Ontario in him. He can't be objective about the Southern Ontario market.
Have you talked to any Leaf fans?
Oh, yeah. A number of friends of mine
and they're happy with the Barry thing.
A lot of them are indifferent. That's the surprising thing, because they don't think about defense.
They just look at the numbers.
Well, no, most of the Leafs fans love the Leafs because they've got guys like Matthews and Tavares who can light it up, and Nylander.
So you don't need Barry shooting on the power play. You need other people shooting. Like, why are you going to give the puck to Barry when you have other people that can shoot it?
We're talking about an organization that until 2 years ago had Dion Phaneuf in their lineup. Yeah. Come on. It takes a while to fix dumbass moves.
True. Laine contract. I was kind of a little upset about it. I like the price, the 6.75 for 2 years, but what happens after the 2 years? He's going to be worth a lot of money. And if we would have signed him initially this year to a 7, even a 5-year, I would have been happy with. Maybe they didn't want to do 7 because it costs too much money, but even a 5 or 6 year deal would have brought us into a time where it's like, even if he didn't prove himself after these 2 years, we could have traded him.
I think the future of ownership of the league, in order to keep these elite players in the marketplaces, is to make an arrangement whereby they become like the new Mario Lemieux team crew ownership group of the product that they help build the value of, so they can reap the benefits, kind of like owning shares in a company.
Well, he's investing in himself, but
I'm talking about out and out ownership of the team down the road, and making promises and methodologies for the players to do that if they wanted to, if they were smart. But their agents probably wouldn't care for this because it probably would put them all out of business, which would be a good thing for hockey. Less lawyers. How could that be a bad thing for hockey?
What's the price going to be in 2 years for Laine to re-sign?
It depends. I'll make a statement on that one. It'll probably cost $10 million a year.
All right, I'm saying 12.
Okay,
at least.
The peak is coming. The lockout looms after the Seattle Slewfoot shakedown come into the league. Yeah. Then that's when the owners are going to retool and say, okay, we want more money.
So that'll be right in the time where the cap's going to go up, and he's going to have a little more leeway on that. But if we signed him for even $9 million for 6 or 7, we would have saved $1 million a year for the next how many years. And now we're in a time where it's like, is Laine even going to want to sign here? If we have a bad year this year and next year gets worse, then is he even going to want to stay in Winnipeg?
Well, I'm more interested to see how. I want to see if anybody interviewed Laine after the team won, but he didn't get a point, or maybe he had 1 assist. He might not have even had a point. When the team wins and the players, like I remember Teemu Selanne was bad for that. He'd be happy to do an interview if the team lost and he had 2 goals and 3 assists. Mm-hmm. But if they won a game and he was shut out or only had 1 point, he was less likely to be up for it, and that always concerns me in a player. I'm still watching Laine, but he sure says and does the right things now.
Yeah, well, only time will tell, but I would like to have that contract a little longer, but we'll pay for it in the end there, whatever. As long as, I guess we got him signed for this year, that's good, but I'm hoping he stays after those 2 years. Depends how we play, but doesn't seem like you're right, not the best team player. Like, it's more about his goals, his points, and that's fine as long as he's scoring 50 a year. I don't care if he talks about the team or not. If you're scoring 50 a year, you can say anything you want in an interview.
We're talking about Jets fantasy fuel and being Winnipeg hockey lovers, and in my case, hockey addict, I guess. Hard to be objective about a game that you love as much as I do, but here we're watching the fact that Mark Scheifele is playing again one of the more solid seasons that I've ever seen him play.
Yeah, not surprised. I did have him on my top 7 for centers this year, and we were arguing last epi on that, but only time will tell with this, right? But
he's impressed me with his game.
But game tonight there. Let's wrap this up. Be ripping a little more often. Been working 14-hour days, so that's probably not going to happen as much anymore. So probably do this.
It's not because Shelley's working 14-hour days, I can assure you of that. Big game, though. They're playing Pittsburgh, who flew in here even though the Jets were in Chicago yesterday, the schedule makers are obviously on the take. We just don't know who until we watch how the thing plays out. But some teams are getting jobbed by the schedule.
Yeah, fourth game, third game, 4 nights.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's a bit much to start the year. But
so I like the way that certain players are being protected so they don't get banged up unnecessarily.
Yeah. And like honestly, we'll have no opinion until game 10. It takes about 10, 20 to like get a strong opinion about the team, especially since all the injuries and the chemistry is building. So
to see if they gel.
Yeah.
But when you're getting goaltending, it's always more fun to play hockey.
Yeah, I've been happy with what I've seen. Maybe we're getting bounces. But
40 shots a game though.
Yeah. Honestly, a little better than I expected though. So on the right page there, but we're out for the day. Cheers.